Hey, my guys, welcome to episode 17 of the My Guys Magic podcast. I'm Pete Williams. I'm here with my buddy Joe. Say hi, Joe.
Hey Joe.
Hey, and we have a special guest with us, Miles. Joe's going to introduce Miles, and then we'll get to it.
So Miles Nossett. I met Miles first at RC Dallas 2023. Does that sound right?
Yeah, but I think we played in like a PPTQ or something like a
Oh,
while before that.
I'm sure we
But
did.
I just remember looking at you like, yeah, this guy looks too good. He probably sucks. And then I think you told me.
I appreciate that compliment. The handsome face. Now the video's up, dude. We should be our followership should go up, right? If I'm
Oh
truly as
yeah,
handsome as
yeah,
everyone
definitely.
says.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you might get the metrics too and be like, oh, our male viewership went from 100% to 6%. How did that change?
Yeah, we'll see. So, we Miles, we wanted to have you on here because Pete has been obsessing a little bit over Rakdos Monument, and we saw you on coverage at RC Portland playing that. But before we get into that, I just want you to tell us a little bit about how you got into Magic.
Yeah, so I started playing in around 2017, 2018. I think Ixalan was the first set where I went to the pre-release and I started kind of, really getting into it. Prior to that, I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh in 2014, and
Yu-Gi-Oh!
yeah, but then around 2017, the game just I wasn't as interested because it kind of came unrecognizable from how the game first started. So the LGS I went to, shout out to Shuffle and Cut, they had a lot of good Magic players going there, like Ivan, who you've had on before, and I
Yeah,
just started playing Magic because it seemed like it was interesting and good competitive outlet. So
yeah,
ever
better
since
game.
then, just yeah, I'd say better games. Yeah,
Yeah, I think. I mean, from what I mean, I've never played Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't know how to play it. I've watched people play, and I think people have people who know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic have described it to me that it's very much like a vintage or legacy type format where it's like somebody starts going off and you either have the interaction for them or you just lose, kind of a thing.
yeah. That's pretty much it. You know, some people like that, some people don't, but I
Yeah,
I enjoyed it while I played. But that game has a lot of power creep, so cards just keep getting better. And like you said, if you can't stop the first thing, you can't really come back. But I've been out of touch with it, so maybe it's gotten better. But
yeah. I don't think it has from what I understand about the game, but
yeah,
yeah,
I don't
I
know.
don't
I just
follow it closely.
Yu-Gi-Oh scene died around here.
Oh, has it?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because Pete, you work at the LGS, so you have a good beat on that, right?
yeah. Everybody switched over to new games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Miles, before we talk about the standard format, so you kind of talked about how you got into the game. Could you share with us just some of your kind of more maybe more memorable moments in Magic? And I know that you qualified for the Pro Tour at least once before, and you've had some pretty solid RC finishes as well. Um,
Yeah. Um, yeah. So, I, yeah, I've been trying to go to at least one RC a season. Nowadays, with they have two a season, I've tried to skip out on, one or two, maybe one season here or there. But I first qualified for my first pro tour uh, through the RC system in San Diego. So I was playing Esper Legends, and
nice.
that qualified me for PT. I think it was March of the Machine, which
Okay.
was a really good limited set. So the draft was really fun, and that was kind of memorable. Having a good run in a big tournament. And then about a year later, I qualified for think it was PT Outlaws, Thunder Junction. I qualified for that through, like we were mentioning earlier, they had the like the GP kind of style events attached to the Magic Fests.
Yeah.
I forgot what those were called, but basically they're the Spotlight series now.
Right. It was
Um,
before the Spotlight series was announced, right? And you made
yeah,
it into the you made the top 8, so you queued for the PT, and then you made it to the quarterfinals, right? That was kind of crazy
yeah.
because it was you, Isaac Sears, and Tony that all made top 8 of that. Was there anybody else that we knew that made top 8?
No, that was like the three of us
Okay.
that made it. Yeah, so that was kind of crazy. I was playing. Me and Isaac and I were playing blue white control, so
Yeah,
that was kind of
I
fun.
remember that.
That yeah. So two different decks, one an aggro deck and another one a control deck that I qualified with. Just cool.
Yeah, and
Um,
then at the most recent, well, RC Vegas, I guess not the most recent RC. At RC Vegas, you were playing. What was that? It was kind of like Affinity.
yeah, it was like I think they
Uh,
called it Metalcraft.
yeah, Metalcraft. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
it was just the affinity list, but instead of playing all the affinity cards, you were just playing Corey Steelcutter, Emery, and Tamio. That deck ended up getting second, so it was a good
Yeah,
deck. Day two, I just kind of fell apart a little bit. You know, didn't
Yeah,
get
that
enough
it
sleep and
happens
stuff, so yeah, it happens. Yeah, but still, I was proud of how I started at least, and
for sure.
deck
For sure.
choice was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, and so it kind of shows your range, right? Playing Control, playing Esper Legends, playing this like, is it Metalcraft list, um, and then
Yeah,
more recently playing Rakdos Monument. All, pretty, diverse assortment of decks. Um,
yeah, I
so
get distracted easily.
yeah,
Yeah.
me too, me too. Pete, you sounded like you had a question. My bad if I interrupted
oh no, nothing. I don't.
you. Just standard me cutting Pete off.
I forget what I was gonna say. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, you can blame me, man. It's all good. So, Pete, how about you talk a little bit about like this Rakdos Monument list and
Yeah, so I was all set on playing Excruciator after the Pro Tour. Jammed a bunch of games. You and me did some testing with it, and then I saw this Rakdos Monument deck that I know Miles played in Portland, and I saw that it did fairly well at the PT. So I put it together on Arena and just started jamming that, and I've been having tons of fun with it. Um, haven't dropped too many games. I'm 100% against Excruciator with it. Um, struggles a little bit with elementals. Could shore that up with some sideboard tech probably, but I've been having too much fun. So last episode, I was like, we need to talk to Miles. I need someone to talk me off this cliff. I get distracted also because I was like, I'm all in on Excruciator. The deck's busted, and then I'm like, I picked this up, play one match. I'm like, oh, I love this. I love Rakdos stuff anyway. I play Hollow One and Modern, so
Yeah.
I'm just need someone to talk me out of playing this in Milwaukee.
yeah, man. So Pete, you sent me a couple videos and it showed like, turn 2, turn 3, you've got a 5 powered Moon Shadow equipped with the flail or whatever that equipment's called, and you've got 2 Flamewake Phoenix in play, and you're attacking your opponent and they're scooping it up. And you
Yeah,
sent
the
me another
turn
one
threes. Yeah,
where you've got, like a couple blood gas in play and all this stuff. So Miles, how like who can you credit this deck to, or like how did you hear about it? Who
Yeah,
was
so
the brainchild?
I honestly, I was kind of looking through the archives, in our Discord, and I had found that I first posted this deck about a year ago now. So originally, I think I played against somebody on the ladder, just on Arena, and then I'd also just been kind of brewing a deck like this, just on my own. But just I guess I'd have to credit like random dude on Arena that I don't remember or anything. So,
No, I've
but
been there. Been there.
yeah. So gradually, my first list I had, I didn't have Bloodthorn Flail or anything. I had Liliana of the Veil, and then I had I think I had like Forsaken Miner, stuff like that. Then eventually I just kind of like gradually improved on the deck, and then once it had lost, it lost Blackcleave Cliffs and Sulphurous Springs with the most recent rotation, because that happens once every like 6 years now.
Yep.
Um, I kind of set the deck down, and then when Lauren got, spoilers were coming out, I knew I was going to play in Portland. I was already a big fan of Moonshadow, and I was kind of thinking of ways to fit that in a deck, and then I had skimmed over the Iron Shield Elf a few times. And then at some point I kind of was like, oh, wait a second, this card's exactly like I think it's Guardian of Benalia from the Boros
Yep.
Monument list.
Yeah.
And I just kind of put two and two together, and I was like, well, Moonshadow is a lot better than, I believe it was like Stalactite Stalker that you played previously, and that card's just horrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, just kind of, I was tinkering with the deck, and got to a good place at the time that I liked to play for Portland, and just kind of put the list together and just jammed it. So, and I thought the Pro Tour list improved on it by, I've been joking with Ivan and all them, like, yeah, my mistake was that I had too much creature removal. I think I had like 7 creature removal spells, and I should have just had more player removal,
Yeah.
because they just have a bunch of threats. And so the Pro Tour list really improved on what I had done, and I'm sure they came up with it on their own. So
Yeah, I'm running what, like 4 or 5 removal spells in the main, a couple more on the side.
yeah,
But just every time I play it, I find new lines. The deck's super fun.
yeah, the deck's it's really fun, and cards like Moonshadow I think kind of make you take back fundamental guidelines of playing Magic, right? Like
Yeah.
normally you'd say, oh, don't play your creatures before you go to combat. But if you have a card like Moonshadow, you want to play your creature before you go to combat, because when stuff trades, they're forced to block.
Yep.
Now your cards are growing, and then being able to do cool stuff like having a Bloodghast in play, requiting Hex, their threat, or their badgermole cover, whatever, blighting on your Bloodghast, you make your Moonshadow grow, you play your land, you get it back anyways. And it's kind of cool.
Yeah. I like Moonshadow a lot. I threw a couple into Rakdos Hollow one and played at the shop last week. And I went turn 1 Moonshadow, and then I go turn 2 Mako. He goes to Stern Scolding it. I'm like, all right, cool. Grow my Moonshadow. And he's like, whoa, wait a minute, wait a minute. He's like, all right, you can keep the Mako, never mind.
Yeah.
Walk back to counter spell.
Was that Evan?
Yeah.
That sounds like Evan, yeah. That's funny. So, obviously, haven't seen a lot of this deck on coverage, or people have streamed it a little bit, but I haven't seen that much of it. So really, other than the video that Pete has sent me and just some of the discussions we've had, I haven't got to see this deck played a lot. So what is your perception of like its strengths and weaknesses versus the meta?
So its strength is, you always have to look at metagames as an environment, like what's around it, right? So, you have your Cub decks that are playing a bunch of Birds of Paradise and stuff, and the response to that is other decks playing, a lot of removal, a lot of interaction, stuff like the Lessons deck, for example, just trying to kill every creature. And fundamentally, this Rakdos deck is just a creature aggro deck. But the strength you have is that you have a diversity in threats. So you have cards like Monument to Endurance, where somebody has a bunch of Wrath of Gods, it doesn't really work against that. Plus, you have things like Iron Shield Elf and your Flame Wake Phoenixes and your Bloodghast, which give you a lot of recursion. So they allow you to keep applying pressure and play a long game where sometimes these cub decks, like, they can't do that. So that's a strength that you have with this deck is you're an aggro deck that, although, yeah, you are a little weak to your one drops, mainly the Moonshadow and the Mako being killed, you can still play these long games with your other threats. So that's probably the biggest strength. The weakness of it is that you're playing cards like Bloodghast and Flamewave Phoenix in your deck. So if you
Yeah.
trade if you trade a bunch of cards and then you top deck like a Bloodghast and your opponent top decks, basically any card that's playable in standard, it's
Yeah.
probably going to be better than a Bloodghast. So
Yeah, I cut off for blood gas most every match, games 2 and 3.
yeah, yeah, and that's fair. And there's some matchups where you want to do that, but you play against like Dimir midrange, and sometimes like Bloodghast is just the best card in your deck because it applies
Yeah,
pressure to them, and then they can't kill it efficiently, and you know,
yeah,
Yeah, it tangles with most of their creatures. It's recursive. Makes
yeah,
sense.
exactly.
Yeah, so it seems like
Joe,
I
what are
don't
you
know.
doing
Brian
over
has it.
there?
I'm just scrolling through everything. Are you hearing my mouse?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Um, so I'll use the arrows. But yeah, I mean, I can see how would have like a good control matchup, um, because of
Yeah,
that diversity of threat. Do you feel
Yeah.
like sideboard, or I'm sorry, do you feel like graveyard hate out of your opponent's sideboard is backbreaking, or is it
it
something
it
that you can kind of contend with?
it can be, but a lot of times you can contend with it. I've had games playing this deck and against it where sometimes you like mulligan to 6 or something, and you keep like a mediocre hand with like a rest in peace, and they just go like, they go turn 2 Iron Shield Elf, like turn 1 Flail, turn 2 Iron Shield Elf, and then turn 3 Monument, and then you just have a rest in peace in play, and you're just like, they can just throw away their hand and I'm just gonna die in like 2 turns, to this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So go ahead, Pete.
I was saying I've done that. I've won matches through grave hate, play around it, but like had an opponent play a ghost vacuum. I had two birds in hand, so I'm like, let's see if you play this right. He didn't, so I got one of the birds back.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes when people overload on things like Graveyard Hate, you could just hard cast your Flamewake Phoenixes and your Bloodghast and just attack,
Yep.
So, because sometimes that's how those, sideboard heavy games go, where they get dragged out, and you kind of have an advantage where your grave synergy stuff doesn't have to go to the grave to still be a magic card, right? Like you can just cast them, just
Yeah.
attack. They're not good, but when the games are broken, both players are kind of like, I'll take anything,
Yeah.
right,
2/2 flying haste can close the door sometimes.
for sure.
Yeah, especially when you can make it a 4/3. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at a list here, and it only has 3 Inti. I remember watching some of your coverage, and it looked like you were going absolutely nuts with Inti on the battlefield and a flail, where you were just like getting rid of all the garbage in your hand. I don't know if you were digging for something specific or what, but I feel like Inti and Monument and Flail is kind of like that seems kind of like a dream, right? If you're looking
Yeah.
for certain cards, because although you can't play, you have to play the cards until end of turn, it or to your end of your next end step. It just seems like so much value.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Yeah, I love NT. He's been like one of my favorite cards printed in the last few years. So every time I get a chance to play him, I'll do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember when I guess it was a little over 2 years ago. Red black aggro kind of took on the form of a kind of like a lower to the ground style, and people were trying to play a lot of Inti, um, just because of the blood token with Blood Tithe Harvester. You know, you have an Inti in play and you discard to that, and then plus people were playing Fable the Mirror Breaker, so there was some synergy with Inti, and so Inti was seeing some play in Pioneer, right? Which, you know, rest in peace Pioneer, but it kind of had, you know, it had its time in a more powerful format. Although Standard now seems to be more powerful than Pioneer was, uh,
Yeah.
even then. So, um,
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. You know, if you even if I was playing a modern tournament, if you told me, hey, you could just play a standard deck, but you get to pick your 7 card opener, I'd probably do pretty good at that modern tournament. You know,
yeah, if you
with
could pick
just
it
a
for like
standard level deck.
every
If I
hand.
could just pick, yeah, if I could just pick my opening hand every
Oh
game, like
yeah, oh yeah,
I'd probably do pretty well at even a modern level tournament. It's like
for sure.
it's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, it showed. I mean, it's been a recurring theme. I feel like over the last few episodes where we've talked about the power level of standard and the power creep in the cards that are being printed, as well as just the number of sets that are in standard right now. Um, I heard that there are more sets in standard now than there were in Pioneer when it was first announced.
Yeah,
Because I mean, for years it was just 3 sets and then a core set every year. That was it. That was standard. And now, you know, standard is a year longer, and we're seeing all these universes beyond sets. So it's like, you know, whatever six. How many sets are there going to be released into standard by the end of the year, Pete? Like 7 or 8 or something like that.
Seven this year. But don't worry, Universes Beyond will never be in standard. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
oh yeah,
was that a promise they made at some point? Did
yeah. It
I don't
sounds
know if
like
a
it.
promise, but a statement they put out.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, yeah, I guess that, you know. So
But yeah,
we talked
seven
about
sets.
Rakdos Monument. Oh,
We're gonna have what 23 standard legal sets before rotation. I think.
that's
Crazy.
that is crazy. Which is the equivalent of 6 years of like old Pioneer, right? So
Yeah.
um, we'll see what happens. We'll see what the future of things. But I think Pioneer would basically look a lot like Standard, and then those cards will be banned in Pioneer. So we'll just have to see what happens with that format going forward. So I want to spend a little bit of time talking about, you know, the upcoming RC. It's next week. We're trying to get ready for it, trying to assess, you know, how the format's going to evolve between now and then. Miles, are you going to Milwaukee?
no, no, unfortunately not. It sounds like a really fun tournament though. You know, despite the standard being really big, it's overall it's a fun format. Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Pioneer when it first started, but
I
kind of
agree.
without the witch hunt for which cards can I play that are going to get banned. But
Yeah,
you still kind of have that feeling of like a lot of these cards in standard right now. I don't imagine them making it to the next rotation. So I think if you're going to Milwaukee, I'd probably be trying to look at those cards. Like what cards do I think like might not even make it, or just fundamental strategies that are going to be strong. Yeah.
yeah. What do you think? So, what do you think that is? Kind of. So we've got a little bit of the data pulled up from. This is mostly the PT. So this data is a week old, but I don't think the meta has changed substantially. Um, you know, going into the PT, people talked about how Nature's Rhythms decks and Badgermole Cub were dominant. We kind of saw Badgermole Cub get its butt kicked. So what do you think?
Yeah, so I think the PT metagames are very different from something like an RC. PTs you can metagame for pretty confidently. I believe it's hard to get it right, but you can definitely take a lot of educated guesses, and not saying it's like easy to pick a good deck for the Pro Tour, but that there's a lot of things that you don't. I think most players understand now that you don't really have to worry about. Um, like for instance, for this Pro Tour, a lot of people didn't worry about mono red because a lot of PT level players, not only do they not want to play a deck like that, they usually just don't. So that you just don't have to account for mono red, a deck like mono red at all. And that's why you see it did pretty well, because nobody respects it, and
Yeah.
kind of their own philosophy kind of unfolds where it just becomes true. A lot of people didn't even bring it. Whereas at an RC, you probably don't want to discount a deck like that because a lot of players will bring it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and the
Or at
metagame
least
is,
enough people will bring it that you got to consider it.
yeah, you have to give some respect to it. Whereas
Right.
at the Pro Tour, you can just kind of be like, maybe I'll play against it once, but I probably won't play against it at all. Whereas at RC, if you had to bet if somebody's going to play like low to the ground, right aggressive deck in any given format, you're probably going to play against it at least once, probably twice, something
Yeah.
like
Right.
that.
Or at least given a particular meta, it's a greater chance that you would play it for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So for the RC, I'd be looking at we talked about cards that you don't think would make it to the next like actual BNR where they're going to touch standard. Cards like badgermole cover are still there. And that's still a really strong, deck to play.
Yeah.
I think the spell elementals deck that just looked like a fundamentally sound deck, but I think maybe you might suffer from people targeting it. Although I don't think it was as popular. It's always the deck that won the tournament that really gets hated on, and I think you kind of see that from the RC to the Pro Tour, right? Like this Cub, Rhythm Pile won RC Portland, and playing it at the PT, like everybody that played it probably didn't do that well, right? Because it just got so targeted. Um,
Yeah.
so that's usually how these metagames kind of evolve. I feel like it follows the paper event previous. But I don't know if they got any RCs or anything. I guess you guys are going next weekend, right? What is it? The
Yeah.
18th or the
Yeah.
21st? Is that
20.
Milwaukee?
Yeah, 20th through
20th.
the 22nd.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd probably look at any RC events that are happening this weekend. Valentine's Day weekend. If see how the meta is kind of evolving. I think that's
I didn't
what you
see if
really
there
want to check.
was. I didn't see if there was any. Do you know? Because I know Canada's is also next week.
Yeah. I think that there's a South American RC going on this weekend.
Okay.
So maybe
So
we can
Okay.
catch some coverage of that, and if nothing else, we'll have a little bit of data. Maybe if there's some sort of breakout deck. Um, I feel I feel that the South American RCs are a little smaller. Um,
they're usually
and I mean,
about
there's a
200 something.
yeah, and there's a ton of fabulous South American Magic players. Like, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but I
Yeah.
I just feel that the metagame, the metagame in other parts of the world are just different. Generally
Yeah.
speaking, at the American RC, um, and so although there is some similarity, right, and there is some evolution that kind of follows how the meta runs. I think that um, there'll be some information to be gleaned from it, but everything has to be taken with a grain of salt. I feel like with those RCs, like
Yeah.
even like the Japanese RC is no different because they're just innovating it in just different ways. And I think that the local meta it just doesn't exactly track how uh, the American meta tracks, and I think a lot of it has to do with teams and people that are American players that are kind of driving the meta game, affecting some of those differences. So but it definitely will be good to have that data to take a look at. Hopefully, they have it broadcast or streamed in some way. I always enjoy, watching some stream in Spanish. It's a language that I can actually follow somewhat sometimes. So unlike other RCs, and sometimes there'll be a guy who's streaming it that's kind of like translating as you go. So hopefully you can catch some
But
of that
Joe,
coverage.
I thought we were gonna re-record after this all in Spanish.
Oh no, man, you're gonna have to throw out the Spanish subtitles on this bad boy, dude. My Spanish isn't that good. Do you speak Spanish? I mean, you're the Southern California guy. Although I live in Florida, I should probably know Spanish just as much as you.
You probably should.
No,
Yeah.
I speak a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
my girlfriend, she's been helping me learn too. So
Oh, okay. So she's a
yeah,
Spanish speaker.
yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
So we're expecting a uptick in lessons for Milwaukee, correct?
Yeah. I mean, in the I will have the compiled metagame data for the last week. Um, I do have one challenge in here, but ignore this table here. Four Color Rhythm won the most recent challenge, but the two challenges prior to this one were won by Is It Lessons, and it looked like there was quite a bit of Is It Lessons in the top 8 of those challenges. So,
Yeah, I think it was like 2, 3 days ago. Lessons was 4 of the top 5 in one of the challenges.
yeah, I saw that one. Let me see. I don't know if it was this one. No, it was. Yeah. So there's two Is It Lessons, then Is It Prowess.
Yeah, it was one of them. And then I'd also have to agree with Miles. I think Cub is still one of the best things you can be doing, most broken things you can be doing in standard right now. Yeah, 10 mana on turn 3 is busted still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it. That card's played in Legacy. Like,
Yeah.
not that
Oh,
Legacy's, it's probably right next to Pioneer and the Tombstones.
Yep.
yeah. Maybe even further behind it, deeper in the ground, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I don't think people are going to abandon it just because of what happened at the Pro Tour.
yeah. No, and
Oh, I
it's
agree.
still, yeah, it's still great. Like, I think when you go into these events that are, you know, 14, 15 rounds, playing a deck that just has a good fundamental strategy is always good. And something like Cub, where you're just trying to put as many creatures into play as you can, get a big mana advantage. Like, you know, resource management is a fundamental like principle in Magic, and
Yep.
just having a card that says, "Hey, I get to double all of that resource" is you know, it's kind of
Yeah, and
scary.
they've already adapted. I saw some lists adding running 4 Spider Sense in the main.
Yeah, yep. And that's a good place to be when you're playing the deck that other people have to try to stop. Because if I told you that people were gonna stop trying to, kill every badgermole cub, it'd be a pretty easy decision to be like, well, I'm gonna play badgermole cub then.
Yeah, like look at this pile of cards here. Oh wait, this card has
Oh, that was this.
78 main deck,
Yeah, yeah. We were talking about that the other day. Yeah, 78 card deck list.
and it won.
Yeah, I mean every card's good. Just look at it.
Brother, this is nuts.
Yeah,
He
I
uh
mean, they're
he
playing
beat
4 of all the good
Dom.
cards, right?
yeah,
This was
This
the
deck
one
beat
Dom
Dom
Harvey
Harvey.
got second. Yeah,
Pretty standard looking
that's the
list
four
here.
the 4 bounce off list I was telling you.
Yeah.
yeah. I think if I was going next weekend, I'd definitely be messing with Deceit and Superior Spider-Man. Maybe I wouldn't be playing the Excruciator list, but those seem like some good cards to play together.
Just yeah, if you do that, don't do what one of my opponents did this morning. He I exiled his graveyard and he copied my Moonshadow with the Spider-Man.
Oh,
Oops. And it
oops.
died.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he just said, "Good game." Realized what he did. He stuck
Oh
around a little bit,
no.
but I had 2 monuments in play, so it was already over.
Yeah, I learned about that in limited. They always have the like one in a blue aura that makes something lose all abilities and become a 1/1. He did that on my Moonshadow and it just died, and I was like, "What the hell just happened?" Like,
Oh,
oh
because the
right,
counters don't change the
yeah.
Yeah.
object. Oh, that's.
So it becomes a 1/1, just dies.
So this deck looks insane. 78 main deck cards, 29
Yeah,
lands, and then just a bunch of shenanigans.
yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about this.
I probably wouldn't recommend playing 78 cards, but
Right?
unless
Like,
unless you add 2 more cards and you get a Yorion in the sideboard, but I don't think that card's legal anymore. So
No,
like, do you
nowhere, right?
need Champion of the Weird? You know? You
yeah.
don't need, like, I mean, cut a Gene Pollinator.
Well, I think the champion is to kind of be a little bit of a mirror breaker. You know, you just if you played that card at all in this limited format, or that card comes down, it just wipes the board. Like it's just a plague wind. Like you put counters on it, you put counters on your cards that don't matter, and it's probably why they're playing it. Because if you turn 3, Nature's Rhythm it out, you just you kill every creature that they have. So
You can cut the Shimmer Wilds growth. Like, what do you. Why? Playing Fertile Ground, like, in this deck. It just. I don't know. I feel like you can get. I mean, maybe like 62 or 3. I can maybe get behind something like that, but this is.
yeah,
It's I don't know. I mean, he won a challenge, or she, whoever it is, they. But
How how many players?
this was 109 players, so pretty solid,
Uh,
you know,
yeah,
representation in that regard. But I don't know. Like, why even play a Clarion Conqueror in the sideboard?
well, just remember you have the Nature's Rhythms, so you're still a toolbox deck. So you play one of those on your board, you're really playing like 5.
Yeah,
yeah, but
Because
I
you could
guess
always
doesn't
just
it shut
tutor it.
off most of the?
that's what I'm
And
saying.
you
Like, I
also,
feel like.
well, you also have the speaker as well. So, and yeah, even
Yes,
though it shuts
speak.
down your deck, you if you're playing a mirror match, you know, you want to control the card that shuts down both of your decks, right? Especially because it's
Yeah,
a 3/3 flyer. So
Yeah, I don't know. Superior Spider-Man seems strange here too, but or Cabarro, whatever.
yeah,
I know stealing your opponent's defeat. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. That's a fact. That is a fact.
but I think
Yeah, and
in
it kind
the
of it has like a hate bear type thing going on because it has all this main deck. excuse me. Has all this main deck, hate in it in terms of Keen-Eyed Curator for the graveyard, Insidious Fungus for enchantments and artifacts, Doorkeeper Thrall for airbending and elementals, I would assume. Yeah, could be something to it. So I don't know. I've been playing around with elementals a lot. I think I don't know. I'm an elemental nerd. I think it's I think it's a good deck. I'm trying to find edges, going into the tournament, and we'll see. Um, I was trying to
Have you?
do do some testing with like Helga. What's
Hmm,
Helga's full name? Skitter
skittish.
Seer?
Yeah, skittish seer.
Skittish Seer? Yeah.
Something like that. Have you been playing the Spelementals deck? I think that's a really good deck.
Yeah, um I'm not a fan of the is it lists that are kind of all in on a few pieces of like a few win conditions. So like I'm not a big fan of
Hmm.
is it Phoenix. I'm not a big fan of that list. Um, just because I feel like so much of your deck is air. I
Yeah.
gravitate towards decks that are just like a little bit more card quality overall. And Spelementals, in my mind, feels like it was designed specifically to manhandle Badgermole Cub, which I can respect. I still think Badgermole Cub is probably going to be one of the most represented decks going into this, but I can't see Spelementals having as strong of a matchup against like Is It Lessons or um, some of these like mid-range decks or control decks. I feel like if you nuke their graveyard, Spelementals to me, it just doesn't speak to me. And maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
Maybe it is good, but
No, that's
I
fair.
know I've played against it a bunch from the excruciator side, and it, I didn't have any issues. Right, just
yeah,
they have eight threats that I care about. If I take care of those, they can't beat me.
right. Because you
Yeah.
don't really care about Hearth Elemental, or what is it called? Hearth.
No, no, I get rid of Hearth Elemental and Eddie Mark Crab, and they can never cast a Thunderflock, and that's been my
Oh right.
experience with excruciator against it.
Yeah.
Hmm. That's fair. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I used to play Phoenix and Modern, and then even the Lessons deck now. Like sometimes those monuments are just in the bottom 20 cards of your deck, and you're like, all right, I don't even know if I could, win the game anymore.
Yeah, and even though you have all these ways to dig,
Yeah.
I feel like you can, your deck can betray you more easily, and it's a feel bad that I don't want to deal with. And then I also think that graveyard hate, this deck is pretty weak to graveyard hate as well, um,
Yeah.
because who wants to cast a 7 mana Eddie Mert crab, right?
Yeah.
But um, obviously the folks that came up with it did very well, and it's a group of pretty respected and accomplished players. So, but I mean I don't know. I think that the fact that it didn't get into the top 8 that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. And we saw it do pretty well in the challenges after the Pro Tour, but it didn't really have any top finishes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in the handful of challenges and the MTGO RC qualifier following the PT, there weren't any Spelementals list that won. And I'm not. I mean, I've only looked at a few of the challenges going back, and I don't think any more have won. Um, but I don't think any have won a challenge since the PT. So I'm sure there's been a number. I mean, we were just looking at one that top eighted. Uh, so this
Yeah,
one was in the top
I
eight.
just saw like three or four in the top eight. So the chart you just had on screen.
Well, it says is it elementals, but this is actually four color elementals. So that I don't know what's going on with MTG decks on net for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's not delineating between spellmentals and this version of elementals, but it is what
Yeah.
it is.
We got to go back to naming all our decks, Cheerios and Ice Station Zero or whatever.
Yeah.
Bomberman, stuff like that.
Yeah, what happened to
I think
The
just melee and
internet.
everything just
Yeah.
defaults to you're playing these two colors or this guild, and then the name of one of your cards
Right. Or like
or the
some,
ability. Yeah,
yeah, some sort of attribute of the deck.
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of been boring since, but all kinds of
But
silly names.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember when I took my hiatus from Magic. We just called it blue white, or uh, you would say rug or bug, or like referring to a black blue green deck. Like I'm playing bug control in extended or whatever, and with whatever set it was, I think it was like Shards of Alara or something. They named all the guilds, and they named like the color pies, Jeskai and Sultai, whatever. And it took me some time to get used to that when I came back to Magic after my break, but and now it's been no more interesting deck names. So yeah, I think I'm probably 90% to play some form of elementals at this next RC.
yeah,
Um, we'll have to see how testing goes. I think my fallback is blue white control, which I don't know
yeah.
if that's a good or a bad thing, but
No, I think that's good. I think it's good that you always have a strategy that you're comfortable with that doesn't change too much, from format to format or set to set. Blue white control is always similar. The cards are different, the games play out slightly different, but usually the same. And
right.
it's always good to have that in your wheelhouse. We talked earlier about diversity, and I'm a firm believer you want to have like a good fallback. Like my fallbacks are always the mid range piles, usually the black red or black green or whatever color. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So what would you play, Miles, if you were going to Milwaukee next weekend? What would your pick be?
um, I'd either play my Rakdos list again, or with a few changes. There's some cards that I think you could add to the deck and try to go in a little bit different direction from Bloodthorn Flail and Bloodghast and Flamewake Phoenix, and maybe play some other cards. Um, for instance, like there's that 4 mana Carnage, that has the Mayhem for red and a black. That's a 4/3,
Yeah.
and there's actually kind of tying the similarities to this with like Hollow One when it first came out. You have Flamewake Phoenix, but there's an Insolent Neonate out of the Spider-Man set. It's was it the Masked Meower or something?
Yep.
Single red. So, that card actually is pretty good with Moon Shadow and pretty good with it's a discard card. So I'd either play that or I'd kind of be on similar to your train of thought of just playing elementals, but I really think that playing cards like Deceit and Superior Spider-Man and just finding the best shell for those two cards that seems like kind of right up my alley. Playing something like that.
So Pete, sounds like
Sounds like I'm playing Rakdos. Thanks, Miles.
Well, I said I'd play either of the decks that you were thinking about, so I
Yeah,
think you can't go wrong with either.
and somebody's been doing pretty well in challenges lately with Big Demir, right? Playing
yeah.
w- pretty
Yeah,
much Deceit, Spider Man. What were they on? Four Preacher of the Schisms, some other stuff, but no
yeah,
Excruciator, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
they basically
I did
take
see
out the
that list.
yeah, they basically take out the excruciator package and play like a tap out control style of play. Um,
Oh, and that Demir control list that Nassif and the boys played at the PT looks pretty nice too.
yeah, it
Yeah,
did.
that deck was sweet. I do like Deadly Cover Up in formats like these where you could just kind of not only wipe the board, but then surgical. You know, the only card that matters in their deck. Like you just take away the Cubs from the deck, and
Yeah, I've cast uh, Deadly Cover Up on an empty board a non-zero amount of times.
Yeah.
just to
I
do
believe
that.
it. Yeah, especially when it's like a dead card, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, some things to look at. Um, I would like to play. I mean, I would have tried to play a Cub deck, but they just became too expensive, and I feel like at slight risk of being banned, and I just don't feel like investing the money in them. So
Well,
we'll
I got all
see.
those cards. I can hand them over to somebody that's going over there if you need them. So,
I
There you
appreciate
go,
that.
Joe.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, we're gonna definitely proxy it up for our play testing. So maybe I'll take you up on that. I appreciate that offer very much, Miles.
Yeah. Yeah. I got all those. I got all those Cubs and Ouroboros that now nobody even plays on the deck anymore.
Yeah, it's a one of in this 78 card special
Yeah.
here, but
I just have to get over my hate for green. I'm a big, not a big green guy. I play in any other color but green.
yeah, I'm trying to think of all the stuff you've played.
Yeah. You're not a green gamer.
Uh-uh.
Me playing Jund and Abzan and stuff in modern. Yeah. I love playing some green cards, but
No, I
combo
did play.
decks in general aren't really my thing. It's kind of what I view this as.
No, I
Yeah, I've
did
kind
play
of
Teamer Rhinos and Teamer Rhinos and Teamer Turns in modern. I used to play those, so I guess
team
I
Yeah,
had.
it is there.
returns.
Oh, Teamer Turns was gross. It was pretty much Teamer Super Friends with Ren and Six, Jace the Mind Sculptor, Chandra. I had Uro, Field of the Dead,
Oh my goodness.
and
Yeah.
Time Warp, and
Yeah, time warp.
Mystic Sanctuary. It was gross.
Yeah, I
Uh,
remember. I remember right before that all got banned. I actually bought Euros to try to play that list, and
Yeah,
then you know Euro got banned, Mystic Sanctuary got banned. So
Field of the Dead got banned.
Field of the Dead got banned. Yeah, that card was broken. Well, guys, I don't know. Pete, you got anything else to share, or Miles?
No, we just have to do some focused testing and nail down a
Absolutely, we
list.
do. Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah. Definitely get that testing. Man.
Well, Miles, thanks so much for coming and chatting with us, man. We appreciate it. We got to pick your brain about Rakdos Monument. Hopefully, we'll see you again soon at one of these upcoming RCs. It's always a pleasure spending some time with you and chatting it up.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Miles, thank you so much for joining us, bro.
Yeah. Definitely love you guys. Love hanging out with you guys. Seeing your
Thanks,
faces. Always appreciate talking to you. It's a
thanks, man.
pleasure. And yeah, we had a good time in Vegas when we were there.
We did, we
And
did.
Yes,
next place we go, I'm pretty sure we'll have a good time there as well.
Yeah, yes, sir.
every
So
time.
if people want to find you on social media or any other kind of platform, how can they get a hold of you?
I don't really do too much on social media. I mean, I have
That's all
Facebook,
good.
but I don't even really go on it that much. Um, yeah, no, don't really have
All
too
right,
much social media.
I'll put your cell phone number in the show notes.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
just
Just put my address and my social
yeah.
security number that you asked for earlier. You can just put that up there. That's fine.
All right, sounds good.
Joe is always trying to dox people on here.
Yeah,
It's all good, Pete. I just want people to share in your birth date. That's it.
I just want
So
them to
yeah, so
know those funny digits on your that blue card that they gave you when you were born.
that's right. That's right. So if you've listened thus far, we really appreciate it. Please give us a follow on uh, Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube. I'm still in the process of getting something going on Facebook, the only place where Miles can be found on social media. So, thank you, and we'll see you next week, my guys.
All right, see you, my guys.